Alright, a rod and reel review on my two favorite catfish rigs. And I've had both these rigs for some time now. And the first one we're going to go over is this one here. RRR. There's only markings on this entire rod. This is a custom-made fishing rod. It's one piece, I want to say 8 foot long. It has stainless steel guides all the way up to the tip, and then the tip, oh, stop vibrating. Tip has a insert in it, that way my line doesn't eat through my eye hole. Well, not much, doing a rod and reel review.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, what you up to?
Just waiting on pizza.
Cool. Let's see, the line here, it is Power Pro braid, 65-pound test. Which this thing's built to hold in the big ones. And it's got that big old sinker on it, 6 ounce. I was fishing at some pretty rough water last time I used this. This reel is an Ab Garcia 7000 IC3. And it's pretty well built. It's not a single frame reel. So this footing part is what they call it, is separate. But it's a pretty sturdy reel. And then you've got one brake here, and this is the one that controls when you cast out in the middle of the cast to keep it from backlashing. It has a level wind system. See that? This thing's kind of hard to control one-handed. Got your... I'm not fishing. I'm making a rod and reel review. You've got your worm gear here. And then stabilizer bar. This has a 8/0 Gamakatsu octopus circle hook, and I have it snelled on there. And to do that, it's just basically a uni knot. You tie directly onto the shank instead of like going through the eye like stop vibrating like that. That's also the same type of knot. It's a uni knot. It's a very versatile knot. I've got about a 2-foot leader on there. And when you're fishing for big fish, the bigger hooks are better. Now where I'm at, I can unfortunately only get up to an 8/0 hook in the Gamakatsu circle anyways. Unfortunately, I'd have to look online. The rod itself, it's a gator blank. I don't remember the line weight and the pound test it holds up to, but it does fine with the way I have it set up. EVA foam. Then a stainless steel reel seat. This little thing here, this turns on a clicker. So when you turn this on and you flip this down, I'm not gonna because I don't want my weight to go all the way to the ground. But this will release the spool, this lever here. Flip it this way, goes to about where my thumb is. I'll release the spool. It's got a power handle on it. Then this also here adjusts your spool tension on this too. And it's the one from when you first cast out. There's another problem where people have it start to backlash is when they first cast, at the end of the cast or in the middle. And this one controls if I was to release this and let it drop, how much line will spool out here after it hits and at the beginning of the cast. I have them set pretty loose, but I've been fishing a bait caster for a few years now. This rod, I want to say, is 8 to 10 years old. And yes, I did choose these colors. The reel I had on here originally was an Abu Garcia 5000 from 1974. It was kind of a neat reel, but it quit working properly, so I have to either send it back to Abu Garcia and have them look at it, or see if I can't figure out what's wrong. And I done took it apart and cleaned it and I couldn't figure it out. And when you buy the Abu Garcia round reels, if you do, make sure you get the ones that say they are made in Sweden. And I am not seeing it on this reel, but it is made in Sweden. It said on the box. I don't know where I put the box off the top of my head, but this is a Swedish made reel from Abu. The American, or I guess the Chinese made reels also that Abu has, and they're not the greatest reels. They don't last all that long, and you have more problems with the cheaper ones when it comes to a bait caster, and opposed to like a spinning reel. It has less problems with the cheaper ones because it's a less complicated machine. These bait casters are they can be temperamental. I'll put it at that. Some of them can be temperamental. Anyways, we will, in the custom rod, green's my favorite color, so that's why I had green too. It's not trying to be Christmassy, but it does kind of look Christmassy with the green and red. I like it. Anyways, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm too short, 9, plus a tip. So when you look at rods in catalogs or online or whatnot, it'll say X amount of eyes plus tip. So this will be 9 plus a tip. That's how it would be stated online. On a lot of rod companies. I'm not saying all of them do it, because I haven't checked out every rod company out there. I'm rather kind of picky on my rods. I want something that I know is going to be high quality and last, hopefully, my lifetime. This rod here Definitely a really good setup. My biggest fish I caught off of it is a 40-pound flathead. And the rod handled it very, very nicely, and the reel worked very nicely. There is one thing I'd like to add about this reel. This part here, there's a little pin that sticks up in there. It's kind of, I believe this one is forked. Abu has like a forked, kind of like a U-shaped pin in there, and it keeps this thing in track on the worm gear for the level wind. But there used to be a spring inside here, and first time I was out using it, that my rod, the level wind quit working, and it's just all winding up straight in the center because that's where it happened to stick at. So I ended up taking this apart, lost the spring to it at Milford, so I just shoved a little tiny stick that I found on the ground in there, and well, it's been working fine ever since. So but that was the only problem I've had with this rod. I mean reel, not rod, sorry. But the reel, it's the only problem I had, but it was a very minor issue because I've been running it pretty much the whole life of the reel that way, so I haven't had any more issues. And on bait casters, you want to preferably take them apart every year, clean the old grease out, and put new grease on. Don't grease up the ball bearings because they're meant to be unlubricated the way they're designed. Well, I mean, you can lubricate them, but then every time you clean it, you have to do it every time, and it's just something else, and that's not necessary because they work just fine without putting lube in them. And that will be all for my custom rod. Now we will go to my absolute favorite fishing rod. I've had this thing since the summer of 1999, after I graduated high school and started working on appliance repair and satellite install for my grandfather. And at that time I didn't have a driver's license because I was afraid to drive. I have one now, obviously. You've seen me do stuff with my truck, or videos near my truck with my kayak in it, so but that's besides the point. And anyways, I went and spent, this rod was a $60 rod. Now it's, I think it's almost close to 70, 80. And let's see. And the new Tiger rods, they don't have this little fish picture thingy on them. This oh, come on, focus camera. There we go. This tuna. I want to say it's a tuna fish. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to say it's a tuna fish on here just because I can. And from what I've seen of tuna, it looks like a tuna. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. Okay, and everything. And out of the 20 plus years that I've had this rod, the only thing that happened is there's a crack in this eye hole. Well, not this exactly eye, but there's a crack in it. And I have the same guy that built me the rod. It's I got it at Derek's Bait and Tackle. Rick builds them in the winter time for people. So he fixed it. It didn't cost too much, like I think 10, 20 bucks. I think 10 bucks actually. So it wasn't too expensive to repair, but I'm pretty sure not every place has a custom rod builder that can repair rod eyes for you. Oh, and another thing about this was the very first fishing rod that he sold to a customer. which was me. And I thought that was kind of pretty cool that I got the first custom made rod out of his shop. But anyways, back to my tiger rod. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus a tip. So 7 eyes total. And the more eyes you have on the rod, the better it is, because it'll distribute the pressure, the tension. Not 100% sure how to put it, but it makes it bow more evenly. So it makes the rod perform better with more guides on it. Some of your cheaper rods will have like 4 on it, which is okay. I mean, if you don't fish a lot, yeah, go get a super cheap rod. But with as much as I fish, I would rather have something that I know is dependable. And for a while, the Ugly Stick Tiger was rated the #1 flathead rod according to In Fisherman magazine. And if you look, you can see that she's starting to show her age. The outer epoxy is starting to wear off. I think I can get some new epoxy to put on there and make like a flex coat that you can put on there. What's cool about these rods here, this is a fiberglass rod with and you see all these little lines on here. That's like a spring shaped piece of coiled graphite that goes from the tip all the way. It should go, there's should go all the way to the butt of the rod. That's how far these blanks go. So you, at the butt of the rod here, all the way to the tip. That's how long the rod actually is. This here is EVA foam, which makes it a little bit lighter weight. This one has a Fuji reel seat, which I really like the Fuji reel seats. They do really good. And has the Akuma picture on it. Epixer, unfortunately, you cannot buy the Epixer anymore, and it's $100 plus fishing reel. I paid $101.01 for this reel. I remember it because of the 1 cent. It's kind of an odd number. Right there's some more info about the reel. Oh, that's the one we want to see. And this is actually rated for monofilament line, because when I bought it, braid wasn't very popular yet. And no, this reel is not the original reel I bought for the rod. The original one was a big old Eagle Claw, about the same size actually. Reel, it was just an old cheapo reel. But I liked it. It worked really well. It was back when they made the cheaper ones good, decent quality. See, this has 10 ball bearings, so it's a really smooth. And then it has this little switch here. And this little thing here, it's a secondary drag. You flip this up, and it's called a bait runner. So it allows the fish, when the fish takes off with it, instead of yanking your fishing rod in the water along with everything else on it, it'll take the line out instead, which is a real good thing. I've never lost a rod fishing, thankfully. So that's always a good deal. I've broke a rod fishing. Actually, my second custom made rod, I broke it out fishing on a, like, pound-and-a-half bass. It kind of made me mad. It's like a $200 fishing rod. And what was that blank? That blank was an MHX. And this reel, the biggest fish I've caught with this is, I'll say about a 50-pound flathead. My friend that had the scale, it was off. I know that because I had about a 10-pound channel cat and it weighed it at 0. So, and it weighed this one fish at 35 pounds. Or not 35, 40. Yeah. Yeah, 35. In the 30s. 37, 35. It's been a while. I can't remember. And the line on here. This is my favorite line of all time. It's not as strong, or pound test, it's not as big as the Power Pro. This is the original Fireline 30-pound test. But you can hole in a whale and a shark with this line. I might be over exaggerating, but it is a really, really good line. I love it. I like the Power Pro too, but you can't beat the Fireline. And then this last I was fishing with, it was actually channel cat. And the smaller fish were biting at the river, so I put a 5/0 Gamakatsu octopus circle hook. And this rod, it's the new ones now, they've all got ugly tough eyes or stainless steel eyes on the Ugly Stick Tigers, which yeah, I'm not impressed with them. The price went up but the quality went down, which I think that's common with a lot of things. Remember when I first bought this rod, when my grandpa took me to Louisville. Derek's Bait and Tackle used to be in Louisville. It's in Manhattan, Kansas now. Louisville is, for the information, it's a small town about a mile north from Wamego, Kansas. But my grandpa, he about had a heart attack and started complaining about how I was spending so much on a fishing rod, that the cheap ones will do the same. But I think he's probably looking down from the heavens watching me use this and seeing that I still have this rod and that it's still in really good condition, and it's probably, oh, I'm proud that he got something that he liked and that it's lasting a long time. This rod's been through a lot of abuse. I had a gar on it one day and I was trying to pop the hook out of its mouth, because normally you can do that, and it was down at Tuttle Creek, the outlet, the tubes, we call them the tubes, and it's about a 15 to 20 foot drop before you get to the water, and I ended up flinging this gar, and it's about a 5-6 pound gar all the way up that wall, and then it shot up 20 foot in the air and landed on the ground behind me. I felt bad. I wasn't trying to do that, but on the other hand, I needed to get my line and hook back, and my net that I have, well, any drop net that you have, the gar get their beak in there and then they will go through the net sometimes. So that's why I was trying to pop the hook out of the mouth, or hopefully get it to where the teeth would have cut the line, but unfortunately it didn't work, so I ended up using that gar for fish bait and caught a couple small fish off of it. And my personal opinion, I couldn't ask for a better setup than this Tiger rod here. It's really good. And would I buy the new Tiger rods? Probably not. Would I suggest other people to buy them? Yeah. I'd say it's still probably a good, the blank itself is probably a good blank still that they use. they use the same technology construction build for the blanks nowadays that they used to use on the Ugly Stick Tiger, so that's still the same. And I'm sure that quality's still the same because it's kind of hard to mess that up, I would believe. I'm not a rod builder. And these weights here, I like these weights, especially in the river. Teardrop weight or a flat weight. It's designed to where the water flows around it like that, so your weight doesn't roll. Because egg sinker, it'll roll across the ground like so, and the water current will go back and forth, which could be a good thing. Could lead you right in a snag, and yeah, that's annoying. But it's part of fishing. And if you get a custom rod made and you choose a gator blank, I definitely recommend the gator blanks. They're a cheaper blank, they're heavier. And on fishing rods, the more you pay for a blank, the lighter the rod's gonna be. And the less expensive on some of the blanks, the lighter the heavier the rod's gonna be weight wise. Because this rod here weighs, if you're walking in any distance with it, it's a lot of weight to haul around. So I don't always use it, and I've got 2 other catfish rods, so I always switch between them all anyways. And then once again, this one doesn't have a hook keeper on it. It'd be right in here. So I hooked the hook on the metal part. As I stated in another video, you don't want to put the hook in here because you can crack it, and that's probably what happened, because before I always used to hook the hook right through the eye because I didn't know better, but once I learned, then I stopped doing it. So and these Akuma pictures, if you can find one on eBay, Amazon, or whatever else is out there, I don't know, on the internet somehow, if you can find one, a new one that's still in the box, and you want a good catfish reel, I would definitely recommend picking it up if you can find it. And the Abu Garcia 7000, they still make it. Walmart has a red one. You don't want that one. It's and if you're on a budget, then it'll work. But it's still I'd rather pay, well, when I bought mine, it was 150 bucks. Now they're running close to 160, 180, I think close to 180. And I'd still buy a new one, honestly. They're worth it. They're a good reel. They really are. So you can still find the Abu, but you can't find the Akuma. And on the other note, if you are looking for reels, don't go with the Akuma Avenger, because the bait runner, in my experience, I've had a few and they've all messed up on me, and the last one, it locked up on me. So I had to tighten both drags all the way down just to get it to reel anything in. On the Avenger, it's a silver rod, silver reel, and it's like a $60 reel. I mean, it worked, but it just didn't have the longevity, and it had issues, so. And Yeah, I think that's about all I can think of right now for these rods. They're both really good setups. Like I said, they're my two favorite ones, and I think that one's only the custom one's only my second favorite, because it's a custom made rod. So that's kind of an odd way to make it odd for it to be a second favorite rod, but reason anyways, I don't know. But I like it. I like them both. If you have any more questions about these setups that I just went over with, feel free to ask, and I'll answer them the best I can in the comment section, or I'll make a video on it if you want a video with more, like, ask a question and I'll answer it in another video if that's something you're all interested in. Well, anyways, you all take care, peace and long life.